The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchous podcast. I'm your host, the original HBIC, Katie Boyd. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym, being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously. Here I am, the HBIC, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. Matt was so upset because if you guys watch the podcast and you don't listen to the podcast, so you actually watch either the video on YouTube or you watch the video on Facebook Live, he likes to watch his titties shake in the video, and the video wasn't on, so he was getting very upset because he's a fucking narcissist and he loves to watch his boobies bounce.
I just want to see what I look like on there. I want to make sure that, I come here ready to perform for you.
Oh my God. Like this is not a porn set in the valley, Matt.
To perform for you, meaning the monkey with the...
No. Matt is the Jenna Jameson of the Ambitchous podcast.
Oh, there you go. Jenna Jameson is all right.
God. So today I'm so excited because Ambitchious, the book, which I have been in labor for the last 2.5 years. It's literally, the book is a baby elephant because I've been just gestational for about 24 months. It is ready to be birthed. Yes. The launch of Ambitchous is coming. And
excited.
It's super exciting.
Yep.
It's also kind of bittersweet too, because now I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Because you know how I am. I do one thing and I'm like, all right, now what?
You better set something up because it's the time to do something next, right?
I think I'm going to take up some hobby.
We'll go to Hobby Lobby.
Oh, I love Hobby Lobby. I know that it's a lot of people don't like Hobby Lobby because, the people that own it stand for, some things that we don't want to talk about, but...
I never knew that.
Do you know that?
I never go to Hobby Lobby, so I could give two shits.
It's like Chick-fil-A, they don't like the gays and then all that stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And I love my gays.
Yeah.
They light up my life.
I love everybody.
But I do fucking like Hobby Lobby because it's so good.
Yep.
So maybe I'll just start like macrameing or like making paper mache or some shit. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah. You could do that, or you could maybe write another book.
Oh, Jesus Christmas. So Ambitchious the book is coming out. Before we start, though, I always love to give a huge shout out to Ayana, owner of Prana Hair, Skin, and Lash.com. She is our incredible sponsor. We love Ayana. If it wasn't for her, I don't know what I would do with myself or my face. If you reach out to her, tell her that this bitch sent you and she'll give you $50 off your first set of lashes.
That's awesome.
Liza with a Z. So we...
No,
that's not Liza. That's friggin' Carol Channing, man.
Oh,
Come on. Jeez Louise, stick to the program. This is not your Broadway debut.
I just thought we lost Carol Channing just recently. So
what do you mean?
I think
She's passed?
I think so, yes. I saw something and it was like... Hello, darling.
I also like to say my husband loves the death toll. Like, how every year they go, here's all the people that died in 2019. That gets his dick hard.
Well, I just want to see the ones that die really old, so there's hope for me.
Seriously.
97? Yeah, I could do that.
Matt Babine, bludgeoned to death with a blunt object in his kitchen. Not by his wife.
Not by his wife. Not by his wife. We talked about the last podcast how you were going to try to off me.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm still here.
I'm gonna do the new
another week.
The Robert De Niro. Is it Robert De Niro? No, Al Pacino. Yeah. The new show Hunters out on Amazon.
Great show,
dude. It's so good.
So good. So good.
But I kind of do want to keep you in the basement, like chained up with a ball gag in your mouth.
That's Pulp Fiction.
No, Matt. They had.
That's right.
So many of the Nazis in the basement.
Oh, that's right. I did not know that. Yes,
so this just goes to show you that when Matt drinks bourbon for the last 10 minutes of every show, this is him.
I go, what happened, honey?
I go, you don't need to know. I'm done with the show. We're moving on.
I got to watch the whole thing. So I have to go back at every show. Usually when the bourbon kicks in, then I have to go back and watch the last 10 minutes because that's usually when it's time for me to go to bed.
Do you guys see what I put up with? No wonder why I run to my basement and write books all day long. So are you so excited for the book to come out?
I'm so excited about the book. And, I don't know if your listeners know, but you lost the book 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. So we talked about this on a podcast like a while ago.
We did.
So maybe not everyone knows, but so I have always, one of my biggest goals in life is like, I always have wanted to write a book, and I'm all about leaving legacy. Right.
Yes.
So like after I have shuffled off this mortal coil, I would like for
at
people
110.
Oh, honey, I'm going to live way longer than that. I'm an old sea turtle.
Because I need lots of care.
If I'm still taking care of your ass when I'm 110, just draw me and quarter me like back in like Henry VIII times.
You will be strong enough to take care of me. I have a few years on you.
I better keep biohacking and staying on my ketogenic meal plan and not drinking copious amounts of alcohol. But so 2.5 years ago, I was out with Matt. He was smoking his cigar in the yard. It was a beautiful spring day, and we were having a meeting in our backyard, and I had my laptop, and this is how powerful I am. Like, this is literally how much of a HBIC I am, is I said to Matt, I go, I got to go inside. My computer's getting super hot, and like, I'm afraid to lose my manuscript. On the friggin' period of that sentence, the computer just was like, bloop. And I was like, oh, fuck. All right, whatever.
Worst
I go inside.
day of my life. It's all about me that day.
Oh, God.
Well, it was like I have my beautiful wife just hysterically crying.
But here's the deal. Like, I'm not like super computer savvy, because that's just something I've never had to be, right? Because that's not what I do.
Right.
But I know some shit.
Yeah, you do.
And I went back inside, and I'm like trying to recover the file, and it like disappeared into thin air. And I was like, no, this can't be, like, I've saved it. I've done this. I've done that. And it took me like 2 days, and I talked to everybody from the Geek Squad to the Nerdmobile
to the FBI.
To the FBI. One of my friends' husbands is an FBI agent, and I actually asked him to recover it, and he was like, bitch, I don't know what you did. But we probably could find like, lost Watergate files over this fucking book. Jesus. And I was like, what the fuck? So for 2 days, I was like hysterical, like someone had died.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it, you know what? I don't need to write this book. It's something, this is how God is telling me not to write this book. Don't waste my time. This is going to ruin my life. Like, this is a sign from God. This is a sign from the universe.
That was a sign from Satan. So I had to get in there and use my magic and say, listen, girl, you're going to write that book. It's probably going to be better than it even was. And how much has it changed?
Yes.
How much has your life changed since then and
now? Beyond.
And this book is awesome because you changed the whole trajectory of how you wrote the book.
Yes. But this is the craziest part. And I'm going to tell you guys about how I wrote the book, and how if you desire to make writing a book part of your life, I'm going to steer you down the right path, because no one, not even Google, like really tells you how to write a book, unless you like you join like an author incubator or some kind of like online program where they teach you like soup to nuts, like you write your outline, you do this, you do that. But so long story short, I was hysterical for 2 days, and Matt gave me a pep talk, as he does in true Matt fashion, with like some, cigar hanging out of his mouth with his other hands down his pants, scratching his balls lightly.
This is not how I roll.
Al Bundy.
Okay, this is how you like to say I roll.
Okay. And I was like, you know what, you're right. But here's the deal.
My hands went down my pants.
Okay. Here's the truth of the matter is I'm not an author. So I just kind of like.
Actually, you are now.
No, I know. But what I'm saying at the time, like, listen, Matt, fuck off. Authors have like a whole plan of action. Like, they make a fucking outline. They have like this, they do that. They have copyright editors. They have, editors that just do like the actual storyline. Then they have formatters. Then they have, okay. So is your brain exploding now?
Yeah, it's exploding. But something, you take messy action and you wrote a freaking really
I understand
awesome
that.
book.
But what I'm trying to
let me jump in and just say, because everyone who has written it, copywrote it, whatever, all those things you were doing, everyone writes back, this is fucking amazing.
No,
this book is amazing. This was so funny. I was dying. I shared it with my husband. I shared it with my girlfriend. So yeah, you are an author. Continue your story.
Okay, I am an author, but at the time I was not an author. And the biggest thing that I wrote was like write some blog posts for my website. Okay. So that being said, when I was like, okay, I'm going to rewrite this book, I had no fucking backup, meaning like I didn't have an outline. I didn't even know what I was writing about. And I did it all from scratch in 24 hours. Yeah. So I wrote the whole entire manuscript, 40,000 words, in, I think it was like a day and a half.
Yeah. And how many crappy words were you writing a day? Because you were like, I remember when you first started writing, you go, all I have to write is X amount of crappy words a day. 200.
That was the rule.
Crappy words a day.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a book, and she did the math, and it has, I guess the book that the size of the book you wanted was going to be like 40,000 words.
Yeah. It ended up being more, actually.
It ended up being more, but it was 200 crappy words. And it's like, wow, when you break it down like that, I was impressed. You know?
So what Matt is saying is there was this man who had written over 90 books, and Tim Ferriss, who wrote The 4 Hour Work Week and Tools of the Titans and a couple other books, and he has his own podcast, and I loved him. And he was interviewing this man, and he says, like, how have you written 90 books? Because I've written like 4, and every time I was like ready to like jump off a bridge, you know? And the old man said to him, 200 crappy words a day. That's what he literally said. And he goes, what do you mean by that? And he goes, every day I go to my writing space and I just say to myself, I'm going to just write 200 crappy words. I don't have to like, make it fucking Shakespeare. I just sit and I write 200 crappy words. And I kind of listened to that and I was like, okay, if I just write 200 words a day, in 6 months, I'll have an entire book, right? Because when we look at writing a book, we look at it like, oh my God, it's like this huge thing to bite off and chew.
But isn't everything like that? It's that first step, right? And the 200 crappy words, you really just sat there. And there'd be some days you'd write 200 words. Some days you'd be able to write 2,000.
Absolutely.
But it's that getting started. It's that mindset. It's almost like when you go to the gym. I would tell you, I would, try to trick myself. I'm working out for 20 minutes. That's it. And I'd be there for an hour, hour and a half. Yeah. But it's just getting there.
Right.
And once you get there, you kind of get into the
mode. Yeah, absolutely. Right? So that was 2.5 years ago. Yeah. And so I finished. So I got the whole entire book done. And then I hired a editor who helps you like shape the story.
Yes.
Okay. And so I sent her my manuscript, and she like writes back to me. She's like, yeah, this is more of a stream of consciousness and not so much a book. And I was like,
it was a little few tears.
No, fuck. What does this mean? And, Shirley Jump is, she's my like lifeline. I love her. Her and I have been way too close.
Through thick and thin.
Yeah. We've been thick as thieves for the
Shirley,
last year.
You saved my ass because,
Shirley helps me a lot.
You could bounce everything off of her, and
true.
I wouldn't get bounced around.
Yeah, very true. So Shirley sends me this email back, and she's like, this is more of a stream of consciousness. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? So we had a creative meeting, and I told her all about what Ambitchous was all about. And she was like, women need this book. Because everyone in the self-help, I'm using my quotation figures, I call it the shelf help, because you read this damn book and you like, oh, that was really flowery and that was prolific, and then you throw it on the shelf and you don't use any of the things because they're not real tangible tools. And she was like, what if we create a book that is like great stories, hilarious, entertaining, empowering, but also like almost like a workbook. Like if you read this book and you take the tools and the work and you implement them like on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis, you will truly step into your power and you will live an ambitious life. And I was like, fucking giddy up, let's do it. So that took about 6 months from start to finish of her telling me that my book was just a crack pipe dream. Like it was just like unicorns and rainbows. And then we created 12 chapters. So there's 12 chapters in Ambitchous, and each one. So the first, the introduction and the first chapter is really like, what is Ambitchous all about? And then chapter 1 through 7 is what we like to call, as you guys know, the 6 life makers and breakers. And every chapter has not only a full explanation of what it's about, but more importantly, tools. So like, okay, I'm going to tell you about having non-negotiable spiritual practices, but I'm going to teach you the non-negotiable spiritual practices. And I'm going to teach you how to take these spiritual practices and implement them into every day of your life. If chapter, 8 is about money mindset, I'm going to teach you how to have a more abundant money mindset. And I'm going to give you tools, right, in the book that you can just adopt and put into play every day. And nothing is like out of your league either, because I feel like, and you can tell me to shut the fuck up if I'm saying this crazily, but all the books that you've read, aren't so many of them like so just like unattainable?
Yes.
Like with what they teach. Absolutely. You're like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this? I have 3 kids and, I'm running 2 businesses and, I travel every day. I commute 3 hours a day, right?
You chunk down the Ambitchous program because it's really a lifestyle.
Yes.
All of the life makers and breakers.
Right.
And taking steps every single day just to take that small action, which starts to change the trajectory of your life, opposed to, this is going to take you 9 years to get where you need to be.
Or maybe 9 lifetimes.
Or 9 lifetimes, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's like every day you can take action. And I think it's absolutely incredible. I mean, we've heard such great reviews from everyone who's read it, and the people that are working on your book. They've all worked on New York Times bestsellers, and they're not type of people that would just blow smoke up your butt. They'd be like,
no, they tell me that I'm a crackhead, and I just
throw this part away, get rid of this, get rid of that, and they're like, they'll fix some things, but then meaning they change this around. Maybe this thought should come before this thought, just so it's more.
Well, we've changed full chapters and swapped chapters out and moved things, and it's a lot.
But the comments I love is like, this is fucking amazing, and all of the things that you show me, and you come up and you go, oh my God, she said this is amazing. I just have to move this over here,
right?
But she loves the idea. And remember, a book is about the thoughts, right? It's like, and I think your book is really like you speaking, having your Katie Boyd in your closet or on your shelf.
It's funny because everyone that's read the book says when I read it, it's like I can hear your voice in my head reading the book.
Yeah.
Like you're not, I write like how I speak, which I think is important.
Because, which is a gift.
But don't you think when you read a book sometimes I'll read like, for instance, Mark Nepo, The Book of Awakening. And I love that book, but he's a poet.
We read it all the time.
And when I read the book, sometimes I have to read the same sentence like 3 times to understand like what he's trying to say. And sometimes I put the book down and I go, I don't know what that motherfucker was just trying to tell me. Because that shit's crazy.
Right.
Or like when you read like Eckhart Tolle, like The Power of Now or whatever, you read it and you're just like, who is this hobbit? And is this hobbit language?
Yeah.
Like what is he saying?
You have to read his books. I mean, I do. I'd have to read his books over and over.
With your finger.
Yeah.
Like on one sentence, you just keep going over and over and over again.
This is just like right to the point.
Yeah.
And really great tools to take your life from A to B.
Absolutely. Easy. Yeah. And what else is really cool is every chapter in the book has its own, so it has ambitious acts. So you read the chapter and then at the end of the chapter it says, okay, you read this chapter. Here are the next steps. Here are the next acts to take to further this idea or concept.
Yes.
Right? So and then I have mantras because I'm a huge proponent of, because as you know, both of us had old, terrible programming in our brains, language, right? And terrible language when we were younger. And I know that so many people still struggle with that. Yeah. So if you read, chapter 1, and your mantra is, I am the HBIC of my magical life. Mm-hmm. So you are the head bitch in charge or in control of your magical life. And every time that something happens after you read the first chapter and you adopt this mantra and you say, I am the HBIC of my magical life. Meaning like, if you're not happy where you are, change it.
Change it. It's up
to
you.
You are
Nobody's going to come and save you.
No.
You have to kind of do it yourself. So you're taking really deep concepts and making them really in lay language and lay person's action.
And funny. And there's a lot of swears, a lot of swears and a lot of fart jokes, and also some sex.
I didn't see any fart jokes, but I heard it. I didn't read that part. I probably did. I just probably get called the fart jokes all the time, so I'm immune.
Well, you're so used to the potty humor, it doesn't even faze you. And then each chapter also, so it has your acts, and then it has the mantras, and then it also has Ambitchous in history. So what we have to understand, especially for women, is like this shit's been going on. If you ever sip coffee like that in my ear and I hear you slurp in my fucking headphones, I will beat your ass.
Listen, I was having my ambitious cup of coffee. So
move your microphone. No one wants to hear your slurp. Fucking Campbell Soup kid. I'm going to kill you. Get out of here. God, do you see what I put up with here?
A Campbell Soup kid? What does that mean?
Like,
oh, the soup is delicious.
It's like, that's what I see you. I see you eating that fucking tomato soup, dunking your grilled cheese in it.
I'm hungry. I'm gonna stop talking about
Jesus, I'm going to make you hungry. I'm going to put some cyanide in that coffee. Ava Braun style, for Christ almighty. So back to my book and not listening to Matt slurp in our ear all across the globe, for Christ. Jesus, Lord and Joseph, Matt.
God help
So
me.
in every chapter, I have this thing called Ambitchous in History. And what I wanted to do is to prove to each and every one of you out there that are going to read this book, which I know will be millions, because that is my declaration here on the Ambitchous podcast.
Absolutely.
Is I want you guys to realize that we as women, all the trials and tribulations and things that we're going through in this modern day, it's been going on since the inception of time.
Forever.
Right? It's been going on forever. So what I did is in every chapter, I highlighted a famous or not so famous bitch in history that did some amazing thing that helped us as women now be living the lives that we live. So one of my favorite ones is Sybil Lundgren. Do you know Sybil Lundgren? Mm-hmm. So everyone talks about, like Paul Revere. Yeah. And the British are coming. The British are coming, right? Story, yes. So Paul Revere actually, he did do his ride. Yeah. And that's why we did end up, becoming the United States of America. But there was a woman, her name was Sybil, and she was 17 years old, and she rode like 4 times the length of Paul Revere to warn the camps that the British were coming. Wow. And she was robbed, she was beaten, she was pulled off her horse. She rode all night, through the cold, through the rain. And she is actually I'm getting chills just saying this. She was like more the reason than Paul Revere, because if it wasn't for those troops that she rallied, we would have not have won. Wow. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
But no one talks about her. Right. No one talks about her. Right. So every chapter has this like incredible inspirational story, and it has, women from ancient Egypt or Africa, or even women from, the last 100 years in our country, Joan of Arc, all these things. It's crazy because when I was doing the research for the book, I always thought that Joan of Arc was, put to death because she was just a revolutionist and during, in French times. Right. She was actually put to death for cross-dressing.
Really?
Yes. Wow. So everyone thinks like, oh, Joan of Arc, she died like this way, whatever. But her main thing against her was that she was impersonating a man by wearing armor.
Really?
Is that not the craziest shit? Huh. So like all this stuff, when I was doing all this research, it was just so eye-opening, and it made me love, not that I don't love being a woman because I love being a woman, but it made me love being a woman even more than I already do. And it made me even feel more ambitious to know that all of these women through space and time, through thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we've been HBICs. We've been ambitious from the very beginning. Totally.
Right? I paid it forward so you could sit here and do this now.
Absolutely. Right?
And having the strength. Yeah.
So every chapter has this Ambitchous in history, and there's some amazing, amazing meditations in this book as well. And we're going to be coming out with not only a hardcover book, but we're going to be coming out with e-readers, and we're also going to be doing an Audible, which is so exciting. So if you like my voice, which some of you I'm sure do out there in Ambitchous land, you can actually hear me read the whole entire book.
That's going to be awesome.
And a lot of people actually hire out people to read their books. Yes. And I was doing a Facebook poll, and I was like, hey, what do you guys think? Do you guys think I should read it, or do you think we should hire someone and like unanimously?
No brainer. You should be reading it because it's you. It really is you.
Matt's like, I should be reading it, actually.
No. You don't want me reading it. It probably would take too long.
He's like,
I told you about I went to kindergarten too.
You remember, guys, Matt went to kindergarten too, which means that's what his mommy and daddy used to tell him, but he really just fucking stayed back because he was dingling.
I was too smart. I was grasping the concepts too quickly, and they wanted to study my brain to make sure it was,
We can make that happen if you'd like. We can speed up that process, right? So obviously I wanted to talk about the book coming out because I'm just so proud of it, and I'm so excited, and I know for a fact that this is going to change the world.
Absolutely.
I really feel that in my heart. The other thing is I have people from all over that are like, I want you to teach me how you wrote your book. So I will teach you how I wrote my book after I lost the book. We don't want any of you writing a book and then losing the damn thing, because there's nothing more traumatic in the world than that.
But I tell you, the universe had your back, because that book is not the same book that you were able to create. It was a whole
100%.
different book. So
Definitely.
everything happens for a reason.
100%.
Everything happens for a reason.
But my biggest advice, if you are out there and you're like, you know what, if Katie Boyd, who hardly graduated high school, can write a book and become an author, right? I can do it. And you can, because I feel like everyone has a story to tell, whether it's a memoir or it's a roman à clé, which is almost like, people go, what's a roman à clé? Roman à clé is like The Devil Wears Prada. So it's like a real story, but they take people's names and swap their names out and like whatever. Yep. Or you just want to, do a service and you want to teach other people to do that service. Like whatever your thing is, don't be afraid to start to put either pen to paper or your fingers to the keyboard, because just starting is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
The second thing I would have to say is, if you want to write a book, is compile a team beforehand, because I kind of stitched my team together like it was kind of like Operation. Remember that? Remember that little game?
In the bone.
Yeah, like no, wrong. So when I started the book after I had lost it, gone through all the trauma, and then wrote the book, the first person I found was Shirley Jump. Mm-hmm. Who has been like my angel, and she has helped me so much. So she actually helped me construct the book, put the chapters together, make it all make sense, make it flow.
And the legal stuff too, like the codes that you need for Audible.
She didn't do that.
Oh, she didn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
See, this is why I get so pissed, because Matt literally knows nothing about what I do.
I know exactly what
he just comes downstairs and he is like, what are you doing? I'm like, fucking writing my book. Oh, that's cute. I'm going to go outside and smoke a cigar.
I never said that. That was cute. I always involved tremendously. I think
But Shirley doesn't do the friggin' legal shit, ding dong.
I think she introduced you to the person for
I know,
the
but
numbers.
You're jumping ahead.
That's
you're
what
pre-ejaculating
my story.
There's
a lot of it going on that I am involved in, because I am the legal eagle.
Just the tip, Matt. Just the tip.
I am the legal eagle.
First, Shirley helped me get the book together, to make it flow, to make sure that I wasn't using, because you know what happens too? We write a book and we use like the same words like over and over again.
Yes.
We all have like our little idiosyncratic things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like Matt just goes, "Doh!" all the time. So we all have our little idiosyncratic
things. And then Shirley
things.
Jump introduced the person who was having the legal things that had the numbers on it.
Oh my God. Okay. That's really nice of you. So then Shirley introduced me to this other woman, Amy. And Amy is the one that gets all of your stuff onto the e-platforms. And when she sent me like the first email, I like literally shit a purple Twinkie because I was like, holy fuck, this is so involved. Like this is so much bigger than I ever thought in my life that it would be. So Amy Atwell is dealing with all of my e-platforms. So she's getting all the ISBN numbers, which are and
Shirley
barcodes.
Introduced her to.
I'm going to fuck you up, seriously. You are so annoying today. So Amy Atwell did that for me. Then I know it did. And then I had a woman who just does the actual copyright editing. So I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck? An editor is an editor. Shirley's like, no, this woman goes through and makes sure that everything is perfect. She goes, because people will actually ask for a refund on their book if you have like one comma out of place. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
So I have another woman who just does that. Then we have like a formatter that makes sure it's like, here's your font. Do you want this color paper? Do you want this kind of font? This is how it's going to look when you open a book. How big is your book? There's like all these different sizes that your book can actually be. And that like blew my mind too. And then I took polls on Facebook, like, how big should my book be? And people were like, it should be as big as Tom Brady's TB12. And then other people were like, no, I want it to fit in my beach bag for the summer.
I love the TB12 size.
But it's massive.
It's a coffee. That's a
coffee table book. Right. And I'm like, I'm not making a coffee table book. I'm making a book. Right. So you have to take all of these things.
But you wouldn't even have thought of it if you weren't asked how to think about all these different things.
Right.
You just take a book for granted.
No shit. And then you have a woman who actually just does the cover and the spine of the book.
Wow.
It's like, what the actual fuck? And then you have to get all these people to like write you accolades and tell everyone how fucking awesome you are. And then you have to have someone write a foreword for your book. So like, I'm not saying this to scare anyone away from like writing a book, but what I'm saying is if a book is in your heart, make sure that you compile the correct team and know what you're getting yourself into. Because I think that if I had my team in play when I first started writing the book.
Well, I think that would be your next mastermind too. So people that really do want to put a book together, I think you'd be able to help them with that.
I love how my husband now is pimping me out to do more work than I already did. I just said I'm ready to have a fucking nervous breakdown. Let me go start a book mastermind.
Book mastermind starting next week.
It's $999.99.
Starting immediately.
Oh my God, guys. So I want each and every one of you, when the book comes out for pre-sale, which is now, get on over to www.kbmfc.com. Sign up for the newsletter, and then I will have you guys in on all the book pre-sale stuff, all the ways you can actually consume the book, and then the actual launch itself. Because if you buy the pre-sale, which you will get the introduction and the first chapter sent to you before the book even launches.
That's awesome.
I'm also going to be having some VIP bonuses that I will let you guys in on very, very soon. And you will get that in email. So if you're interested in purchasing Ambitchious the Book and really creating history in my life and in yours, because I know Ambitchous is going to help you so much, get on over to the website, sign up, and be the first ones to get that book in your hands. Cool? And if you guys have any questions about creating books, writing books, anything like that, since I guess I'm going to be teaching a mastermind soon, reach out to me by emailing me at ambitchious@kbmfc.com.
And I'll be taking that mastermind.
You'll be taking all the money like you usually do. Oh my God. So I'm so excited. Thank you guys for coming on this journey with me through the last, 2 years writing this book. I appreciate it from the bottom of my little black heart. Thank you to all of you for being crusaders to this ambitious movement. And like I always say, see you next Tuesday. Yeah.
Good job, man.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.